Morning everyone. I'm going to tell you a little bit today about route planning. I've got a weekend up in the Peak District this weekend and maybe a day free on Monday before I have to travel back home. So I'm looking at planning myself a really nice route to go out walking on the Monday. Obviously having a little bit of a look around in advance just helps to kind of plan a really nice day out walking. So I'll share a few tips and tricks. So this is my kind of adventure shelf of the bookshelf, dominated by quite a few different maps. I'm going to be visiting the Peak District, so we're kind of looking into this map at the top here, Outdoor Leisure 1 to 25,000 scale map, covering some wonderful different areas of the Peak District. Where I'm actually going is near Hathersage at the bottom here. So the first thing we've got to look about this map is the fact that it's got two sides to it. So lots of interesting map folding and unfolding techniques. You'll tell by the fact that it's slightly kind of squished is that it's been folded back the other way again before. Ideally, for this kind of map folding and unfolding, it's great to have an enormous space that you can do it on. So because all my maps are kind of held in my spare bedroom, it's a great way to use the spare bed, I find. So here we have the west sheet of the map. It kind of unfolds and is a pretty good kind of, I guess, kind of extra sheet for the double bed in our spare room. And you can see all sorts of different things up here. So there's loads of different kind of nice areas to walk. Edale is a particularly popular kind of area to walk in the Peak District, or a kind of base to walk from. It's actually the beginning of the Pennine Way, which is what makes it so popular. This goes all the way up to the borders of Scotland, something I would be really quite tempted to walk at some point. A few weeks ago, we were, myself and my husband were staying on the outskirts of Glossop, kind of up here. We did a little bit of walking around in this area and also drove to Edale for the day to go up Kinder Scout. Do Google Kinder Scout, because it's where a load of people did a kind of mass trespassing to try and guarantee the rights of access to land for walking and other sort of outdoor activities in the UK. There was a time where all the land belonged to somebody and you weren't allowed to walk on any of it, which is a bit rubbish. I'm actually going to turn this over, easier said than done, and definitely something you don't want to be doing when there's a stiff breeze, onto the outside to kind of look at the other edge of the map. So we can kind of do a bit of a glance around here and find out just a little bit about the lay of the land, and also kind of checking on different areas and where I'm going to be looking to walk. So I'm actually staying in around the area of Hathersage, as I said, in this kind of Hope Valley area. A couple of nice rail routes here actually, so it might not be too difficult to kind of get up here on the train, should that kind of be a little bit more cost effective. From Hathersage, you can see that there's quite a few lovely looking footpaths kind of scattering out from the town itself, and you very quickly get into this area here. This kind of creamy coloured area is kind of just open access for walking, really. It's got some really well marked paths. These paths here with the little diamonds on them are usually some sort of kind of well maintained right of way, usually with a name. So this one is the Sheffield Country Walk, and they'll usually be quite with good facilities, quite well marked on the map as well as on the ground, which is good. So from Hathersage, it looks like I can pick up a fairly easy footpath past a nice little campsite here in the woods, which looks delightful, up onto this Sheffield Country Walk. Stanage Edge, I've heard things about, good views. You get a nice little drop off this way, so you get a nice view down towards the reservoir over there in that direction. So I think this might be something that we can sort of look into as a nice little walk here. Pick up this path, go along Stanage Edge. Might be a bit breezy up there. You can see by the amount of little streams. You can see those little streams kind of coming down this way, and waterways and things, and also these little tiny markings, which are really quite difficult to see, like little grassy mounds marked here and these little lakes, that it's probably going to be a little bit boggy. So it's worth looking at the weather over the preceding couple of weeks to work out, you know, what kind of walking shoes you need. I am generally walking in this kind of terrain in walking boots. So it looks like we could do a really nice walk up here and then kind of turn off over the other side of this road and come down and have a look at this lovely reservoir. And that looks like a pretty nice way to go. Crossing back here a few, so these tracks here are not necessarily sort of formal public rights of way, although there is one down by the side of the road there. These are more kind of forestry tracks that you can follow, which will spit us back out into a lovely little town called Bamford. Looks like it's got a pub, that little beer glass there, so always good for planning refreshment. And then back into Hathersedge. The other thing to bear in mind when planning a route is how much time you've got and how much ground you kind of cover in an hour, for example. So each one of these squares here is 1 kilometre. So you can use that to roughly kind of size the distance of your walk and roughly how long it's going to take. So this walk would be a pretty good day's out walking at a reasonable pace for me, I think. Given the fact that the halfway point to the walk, it's not a huge amount around here. So it doesn't look like I can stop off in a pub or any, you know, sort of shops or anything for lunch. So I'll have to take my own lunch with me. Also, it's likely to be fairly exposed, particularly on this part of the walk where we're at a higher elevation. So waterproofs would be a really good idea, an extra layer, maybe even hat and gloves. I've had a glance at the weather for this weekend. The highs are only going to be around sort of 15 or 16 degrees. So if the wind picks up a little bit, oh, and it's going to be raining, beautiful. Those kind of gives you a little bit of an idea about how you can plan the things that you take with you. This map will be coming with me, as well as my compass, in a map case to keep it nice and dry and to stop the kind of folding, unfolding craziness on the walk. I'll probably be folding it, so this section here along the fold lines is visible in my map case, and this section here that I sort of stray into for a tiny little bit of walk is on the other side. So all I have to do while I'm walking is turn the map case over, as opposed to having to refold the map on a windy, rainy hill, which is a lot more challenging than it sounds. So that's my plan for Monday, I think. It would be great to hear about any other walks that you guys have got planned, so do let me know.